Dorothea Lange was a documentary photographer who is best known for her work covering the Great Depression. Lange was born on May 26, 1895, and grew up in Hoboken, New Jersey. She was diagnosed with polio at the age of 7, which left her with a lifelong limp, and her father left shortly after. Lange experienced a rough childhood, but she did not let that stop her. Lange studied photography at Columbia University in New York, but ended up deciding to travel around the world and ended up in San Francisco. A camera is a tool for learning how to see without a camera. Dorothea Lange. Before the Great Depression, Dorothea Lange was a portrait photographer with her own studio in San Francisco. As the 1930s approached, Dorothea grew bored with portrait-style photography and decided to start shooting documentary style of the people around her. Documenting the Great Depression is what made Lange's career. These are some of her most famous photos. Lange photographed the unemployed men in San Francisco, where she brought street photography to a whole new place. She showcased the hardships and rough conditions that many people were going through and often did not hold back. These photographs brought public awareness to the unsafe living conditions and lack of housing. Her photographs covering the unemployed men and their struggles led Lange to work with the Farm Security Administration in 1935. Lange soon started to document migrant camps and migrant workers and the conditions they faced. Lange worked with the FSA continuously for years, many of the photographs being the ones you see today. A great photograph is one that fully expresses what one feels in the deepest sense about what is being photographed. Dorothea Lange. Migrant Mother is one of the most known photos of Dorothea Lange's career, which depicted the migrant camps during the Great Depression. Lange's goal was to showcase the poverty and rough conditions in the migrant camps. Migrant Mother has such a significance to the Great Depression and the suffering that occurred that was brought to the people's attention, but the Migrant Mother also paved the way of documentary-style photography. In 1939, after the Great Depression was ending, Dorothea Lange and her second husband, Paul S. Taylor, produced a book of her images and his text showcasing again the hardships and struggles that had happened. With Lange's photos and Taylor's descriptive text, you feel the misery through the images. This was Lange's first book. In 1942, during World War II, Lange documented the home front and the evacuation of Japanese Americans to detention camps. Lange's mission was to create candid images that depicted what was happening at home. Many of Lange's photographs from the incarceration of Japanese Americans and injustice were censored by the federal government, and her work wasn't really seen until 1972 at the Whitney Museum. These were defense years, war years, shipyard years. Dorothea Lange. During Lange's final moments, she spent majority of her time working on her exhibit for the Museum of Modern Art in New York and personal projects. Lange died at age 70 on October 11, 1965 in San Francisco, California from esophageal cancer shortly before her exhibit opened. Dorothea Lange has had a huge impact on the Great Depression and documentary-style photography. Her passion for photography and her way of seeing life has changed the life of many.